So you've found a good agency or a freelancer that you want to work with. You've been able to write a good brief that you've passed over to them, and they are now kicking off working on that new execution that you want to have created for your brand. Now, it doesn't stop there. So typically, after you've briefed an agency and you've instructed them to get to work, there will be a number of feedback rounds coming after this. How many feedback rounds will depend on the agency that you work with. 3 feedback rounds is probably common that agencies and freelancers would say that you have within the budget, but it could be more as well. It depends on what you agree on really when you start to work. But it's really important that you know what to look for and how to kind of judge that work that is coming back to you, so that you also can deliver feedback to them in a way that is constructive and that will help move the project forward so that you get the best possible result. And that is what I want to cover in this lesson. So through all the years I worked with agencies, big agencies, small agencies and so on, there's a few things that has really helped me a lot that I'm using regularly. I have one framework which I want to take you through, with a few that gives you a few tips for how to think about this and how to judge creative work. But before we even get to that, I just wanted to cover 2 important main principles, which is really if you take that away from this lesson, those are the 2 most important things to help you make sure that you pass feedback and judge creative work in the right way. So the first one is trust your gut. Okay? So, we will talk about a framework and so on for how to kind of really think about and to be able to judge. But in the end, what's most important is your gut feeling. So, because that is how other people will judge this work. If what you have briefed is a logo type, or if it's an advertisement, or whatever it might be that you want the agency or freelancer to create, other people will judge that with gut feeling. They won't pull up a framework and see start to intellectualize, is this good or not. You'll have a split second, and is their gut feeling that judges is this something that they want to do business with and engage with or not. So that gut feeling is really important. Now, the thing with the gut feeling is that you actually only have one chance here. You don't want to spoil that because when you get some work back from the agency, you look at that work, your gut will tell you something, and then after that, you will start to intellectualize, you will start to think about all the details, and is this good and is this not good, and you kind of lose that gut feeling. So my big advice here is when the agency or freelancer is sending you something back, before you just open that and start to look through it, because it's exciting, right? You want to wow, what did they do? So before you do that, try to carve out a little bit of space where you can be undistracted, and do not just open it like that, but really find some space, and then when you're ready to look at it, you open it up, you have a pen and paper next to you, so that immediately the things that comes to mind, do you like it, do you not like it, of course, you just note it down immediately. If it sparks any thoughts or anything like that, just note it down immediately, because you only have one chance to do this. Later on it will be too late. Even if you kind of park it and you come back to it later, you will already have things in your head that have started to intellectualize what it is that you're seeing, and you're kind of losing that gut feeling. So make sure you note those down immediately, because later on then you will start to intellectualize and you will start doing all that, and when you pass your feedback, you have those notes that you can come back to, which was really this was my gut reaction, and that should have a big weigh in on the feedback that you're giving to the agency and what you want them to work on, because again, that gut feeling is really important. Okay, so that's one thing that I would really make sure you have in mind. The next point is, when you pass feedback to that freelancer, to that agency, make sure you're being respectful and provide constructive feedback. So if you're working with freelancers in particular, it's quite likely that that person has put their heart into this and really try to make this the best possible. And these are creative people who really have put a lot of thinking, a lot of emotion into making this really good. So if you see that and the feedback that you're giving is like, I don't like that, or not giving them like more than your subjective opinion on it, that can hurt them. So because they've invested a lot into like doing this. So you need to be a little bit careful, because what you want to achieve is a like healthy, good relationship where the person on the other side working for you feels motivated to work for you. They feel that what they're doing is being appreciated, and so on. So it's important to maintain that feeling. What I'm saying is not, I'm not saying you should be like soft here in case you see that they've actually not put in the work, or maybe they don't have the capability to do what they said they were able to do. And but that's a different story. You will see the difference, of course, if there actually is talent there, they're doing a good job, but somehow it didn't come out right, or if it's just like they're just trying to kind of get the money and deliver some crap sorry to you, like you will see the difference. And if it's not good quality, you shouldn't be soft. We should always be respectful towards each other, right? But then you might want to escalate that. You might say that this is not like delivering on what this person, if it's a freelancer or agency, is claiming that they can do. They don't have the capability. Like, there's another problem. And if you're working with some of these online platforms that I'm showing you in this course, there's ways where you can kind of escalate and kind of get other people involved in case you see that this is not going the right way, so that you can either get the money back and like exit that relationship. So there's ways to do that. But many cases, that's not the problem. They are actually the talented people and people that you want to continue to work with. So then you need to make sure that you're not being just like harsh and subjective, but that you deliver feedback in a way that they still feel motivated to work for you, and they see that you appreciate it, even if there's things to work on. So the way you do this is to make sure that rather than saying like just I don't like this or something like this, because that might be the immediate reaction that you're getting, try to think about what is it that you don't like about this. Like, what is it that make you feel like that? Like, why do you not like this work? And then you try to pinpoint like what those things are. And often that comes down to actually like they didn't fully understand your brief properly, or they didn't embrace like the brand identity or brand strategy that you provided as part of the project, that it's off and it doesn't match with that. So when you start to kind of find those arguments, which is more like objective arguments, that's not based on just a subjective feeling that you don't like it, but it's really based on like actually it doesn't really match those things. And when you provide your feedback in a way where you actually refer back to what was actually what was in the brief initially, or you refer back to your brand identity if that was provided, and showing how that doesn't match certain things, that's a very different thing, because then you're not attacking that person, or you're not being personal, but you're focusing in on kind of facts, and that will not make that person on the other side feel like they're being criticized personally, but it's more around certain things that wasn't really matching up, and then we can have an objective and constructive discussion around how do we actually address that in the next feedback round, so that we get the product on the right side. And then you will see that the work will be much better that comes next time, because now they really understand what it is that actually was the problem. And like the way I would do it is typically like, if I see something, most often there are good things coming out of the project, but there's something there that is not right. So when I deliver the feedback, I would typically first focus on those things that are good, and like say, I like that, and I like this, that was well done. But if we look at this doesn't match up with the brand strategy here, or this deliverable should have been in, but it wasn't, as you can see in the deliverable, or the brand equity and the use of the assets that I provided wasn't there. And then you get like specific on those things. Then they will leave feeling like, yes, this person on the other side appreciated what I did, but there's fair points here that I need to work on for the next round. And they will leave feeling like motivated and good about it, and have actionable feedback to actually work on, and to deliver then constructive work afterwards. Okay, so those are the two main points. Trust your gut, and you only have one chance with your gut, so make sure that you leverage that when you give feedback, and that you kind of note those down, that you note down those things that you feel immediately. And when you pass your feedback, like focus on what some of the positives are, and then go into like constructive, like feedback based on the briefs that are objective. It's not about the person, but it's really about what you want to achieve with the project. Then they will be much more happy. Again, having said all that, I'm not telling you to be soft or something like that if it's off. You know, if they don't have the capability that they claim they should have, or they just haven't spent the time and done what they were supposed to do. You know, that's a different story, and you will see when that is, and then you might want to escalate. You want to do other things, close the project, claim your money back if it's the first time you're working with them, and these kind of things, right? So those would be the like 2 main points. I want to cover also a framework that I'm using a lot. This is something that I learned when I was with Procter & Gamble, and I find it very helpful. It's a little bit more advanced, I would say. So again, like if you leave this lesson with those 2 points that we just covered, that will help you a lot in the feedback process and ensure you get better results. What I want to take you through now is a framework that I'm using to kind of help you break down when you're not feeling like, this is not, not what I wanted. It doesn't feel right, but you're not really sure what is it about it that is not right. This framework can help you kind of intellectualize that, so also you can pass better feedback and pinpoint really what is it that was not good about the work. But again, it's a little bit more of an advanced framework, but I wanted to include that so you have really all the tools to go through it. It might not be applicable to everything for like a local business of a salon. I mean, I use this also with like large global brands kind of thing, but still I want you to get the advanced stuff also in this course and really be equipped with all the best tools. And it's not that advanced. So I hope you'll find it helpful. So basically, this is how it works. So the model it's called the hand model. So we'll use your hand as the reference point for this framework. And what's good about that is that you always have your hand with you. I hope. But you should always have your hand with you. And you can use that as a reference, as kind of a reminder on those different things that goes into that framework. And the first thing I would look at is your palm of the hand, which basically stands for your brand equity. That's like the core of your brand, like the whole identity, your brand strategy. That is the palm of your hand. Things like the right fonts, the right colors, the right shapes. If we're looking at the visual identity part, and also the brand strategy element, your brand purpose, and all these things. That is the palm of your hand. That's like the heart of what you do. And if you're seeing that you've briefed something and the work that you're getting back does not line up with your brand equity, which is the name of this, that's a new terminology, I haven't used that in the course before, but basically the brand equity, which is all the things that represents your brand. If you see that it doesn't match up with that is a problem, and it means we need to do some rework. Okay, so that I would keep as a hard point. Like if you've been briefing, I don't know, like some type of ad, or you've been briefing interior design project, a business card, a logo, it could be whatever, and you see that like what's coming back does not match the equity of your brand, then it needs to be reworked, because that's a critical point. Okay, so that's the palm of your hand. That's very important. Then we'll work through the fingers. Okay, so your little finger stands for simplicity. So that's what I would look at next, is this simple? So let's say you briefed, it could be an ad, like to advertise your salon or spa, and what comes back has several different messages. We're trying to get the person who sees this to take multiple actions when they see this, or there's a lot of different things being communicated. This can happen quite often, and it's often actually a problem on the briefing side, on your side, and not necessarily on the agency side, but that they pass too many messages. And it just becomes confusing, because the thing is, like in marketing, and now this is of course on branding, but anyway, in marketing, you want to be very focused on one message, one action. Keep things very simple so that people immediately understand what to do when they see this. You want to avoid confusing with too many things. So that's something you can look at, like when you get whatever execution list that you have briefed and that you're getting back. Are we trying to do too many things? Because when we do, you basically get no action. So it's better to be very focused on keeping things simple. And that can go for any execution, right? You can come to your business card design. If it's too many things, you can't even see it. Or your logo type, there's too many graphical components and you can barely read the name. Or if it's an ad or something like that, too many messages, that is a problem. So simplicity is important, that what you're getting back feels like it's simple, I immediately understand what this is about. So that's what I would use that little finger principle for. Then you have your ring finger, which basically stands for the emotional connection. Obviously it depends on what you brief. For some things, making sure that sparks some type of emotion is very important, so that it connects with the person. For other things, it's not as important, right? So it really depends on the type of material that you briefed. But let's say you briefed like you want a coffee table book or like a brochure or something that introduces the concept of your spa and really talks about your business and the purpose and all these things. It should be like, it should be an experience to kind of view that material. Obviously it's important that when you see that sparks some emotion with you, and that emotion is in line with the emotion that you want it to spark, right? So for this type of material, that's an important element. Or also if you do some type of ad or something, if it's just like very flat, you don't feel anything when you see it, that's typically a watch out that this will not do very well. So have that in mind. Also when you brief your visual identity, if that comes back with the visual identity pack, if it just like feels very flat, maybe they're doing everything wrong, but it doesn't spark any emotion, that's a bit of a warning sign as well. You want to have like that it drives some type of emotion. Of course, like if it's what you're briefing is like a practical price list that should just be informative, I mean, it doesn't need to spark any emotion. It just has an informative purpose. So it doesn't always apply. But for certain things like in marketing and so on, it's important that it sparks some type of emotion, especially for you who run a premium brand and premium business. So that's what the ring finger stands for. And then you have your long finger, which is, excuse me, but your fuck you finger. The reason, so basically this is an iconic shape. I'm not pointing it to the camera, so don't worry. But that's an iconic shape. What that really should remind you about is like, is this execution that you briefed, is that incorporating some of those like iconic or graphical assets that you have as part of your brand? Is that like in there, so it feels really like it's part of your brand? Is it using that, or is it even something new that you're creating? If you're briefing a visual identity, is it bringing like new like iconic assets to your brand, such as that finger? Then that is a good sign. And I would say this is more of an advanced thing. This is something that I would think about when working on these like large global luxury and premium brands. For a local business, I think this is a parenthesis. It's not like something that I would be very, very like strict on, but it's a principle that you can have in mind. And if it's bringing like new iconic assets, like visual components that you can use in your communication going forward, that's really strong and that's really a good thing. But it's not like I would kill a project because it doesn't have that, okay? And then the next finger is your pointing finger, which basically means that like what you're getting back, can that be pointed to different places? Meaning like can you use that on many different touch points? So for example, if you're briefing a logo type design, it's important that logo doesn't just look beautiful when it's on a big sign outside your salon or spa, but if you want to use that in social media or in maybe some other communication touch points where you just have like super small space to communicate on, does it work there? So can it like be used and can it be adapted to fit in many types of different touch points and execution? That's what the pointing finger stands for. So this would apply to like visual things that you brief. Also, if it's like a campaign, so you're briefing like a Mother's Day campaign that you want to run or whatever it might be, is that something that can actually be used in many different places, or would you only be able to kind of do that on your social media? Or can you do it on your social media? Can you have your staff talk about it? Can it work on your website? And can it work in many different places? If it can, that's a strong thing, because that means that whatever you're going to use this for, you will have many more usages for it. And then the final finger is your thumb, which basically stands out from the rest of your fingers, and that's what that stands for. So does this stand out? So if you're briefing like a new kind of campaign thing that you want to drive, and what you get back is like pretty much the same as what you did last year, then that's a sign that that's a little bit like boring. It doesn't stand out, it doesn't feel new. Or maybe what you're getting back when you're briefing a logo looks very similar to all the logos of all the similar type of businesses in your area. That's a sign that this doesn't like stand out enough and like to represent you in a unique way. And that's what the thumb stands for. So that's, you know, something that you can look at in that execution to make sure that it stands out. Okay. So that's the hand model. The purpose of this is not like, you know, all the fingers, everything should be on for every execution or it's not a good execution. No, that's not the purpose of it. It's more something that you can use to think about, like when you see something and it's like, this doesn't really feel right, I'm not sure what it is. You can kind of think about those things and use the hand for that to see like, okay, maybe it's just too complicated. Like we're trying to say too many things. It's not like simple enough. Okay. Then you know how to feedback on that execution to make sure that in the next round you work on, it will be simpler. Or if it's like you're working on that logo, but you see like what you're getting back looks great, but you see like, I'm not sure how I could even use that on my social media, on my different places, because it doesn't work. That's your long finger. Then that will be your feedback. Like, okay, in the next round, we need to find a way how we can use this logo and do a variation for different touch points so that it will really work everywhere. So I would use it kind of in that way to be able to take that, like, your initial emotional response to what you see and to kind of start to kind of understand a little bit better what it is that is not right and what you should focus your feedback on. Okay, so it is a little bit of a more advanced framework. I hope you can find you'll still find it useful also in your business. But what I would say also from this lesson, like the main points again, is really like trust your gut reaction. You only have one chance. And also when you give feedback, make sure you like not just give a subjective opinion, like personal opinion, but really like why is that, and give like constructive feedback that they can actually action and work on, because otherwise you will not really get anything better in the next round either. So you want to focus on that and you deliver that in a respectful way so that everyone stays motivated and wants to continue to work for you and to do great stuff. Great, so that's what I had for you in this video. I'll see you in the next one.